All right, let's welcome in the Clorox Clutch Challenge champ, Tyrese Haliburton. Tyrese, what's going on, man? We're excited to have you on the show. We normally have been doing a You've Got Mail segment, but we thought we could just have a quick catch up and a chat with you.
For sure. I look forward to it. Looking forward to the conversation.
Has anything big going on in your life in the last couple weeks?
No, nothing drastic. Just a little bit of a job transfer, but other than that, it's all good.
I really want to get your thoughts. We can just start with the trade deadline stuff, because I want to get your thoughts just around the deadline itself, not necessarily the actual trade, but how aware you were that a trade was going to happen. I saw when you were doing some media stuff this past weekend in Cleveland, you said that when your agent called you, you thought it was a joke, and then George Niang went on the Long Shot Pod and said that you called him and thought maybe you were going to the Sixers. So in this like 24-hour, 48-hour period prior to the deadline, what were you hearing? What were your thoughts? Leading up to that moment?
Nothing. There was nothing to hear. Like I thought it was completely good. Like I've said this multiple times now. Like people were like, "Are you worried about the trade deadline?" I'd be like, "I'm not worried about no deadline. Like I'm not worried in the slightest. I'm just keep continuing." I'll say in the media, like that, "Oh, we we're professionals. We just gotta do our job." Blah blah blah. But in my head, I'm like, "Why are they asking me about the deadline?" Like, no, they nothing to do with me. Like I went to Top Golf the night before with some friends. I had a good night. Woke up that morning and got the call from my agent, and I think I didn't answer at first. He texted me, like, "Call me ASAP." So I'm like, somebody getting traded? And then he's like, "You're getting traded." And I was like, "Stop playing." He's like, "Nah, you're gonna get traded. I think you're gonna get traded to Philly." And I'm like, "Really?" And then so that's why I called George, because obviously the rumors have been going on about it, and they don't stop, and I never took them serious. But now I'm calling George, like, "Yo, bro, like, are you hearing anything? Like, am I coming to play with you?" He's like, "I haven't heard nothing." Call like a couple minutes later, Indiana. I'm like, "What?" And then it just happened. So it all happened quick, but there was no, I heard nothing about it leading up to it. No.
What was the conversation like with the Kings front office once you had been traded?
So he called me. He was like, "Oh, we're trading you to Indiana." He's like, "I want to let you know we made a trade. We're trading you to Indiana. Wish you the best." And I was like, "Thank you." Like I was like, "Thanks." And he's like, "Yep, you're gonna be a good player in this league." I'm like, "Yeah, thanks, appreciate it." And it was like, "All right, we're done." And then it was over from there.
I caught some heat because I, along with a lot of people, which I want to touch on in a second, not only were shocked at the trade, but were, I guess, taken aback at the thought process of Sacramento. And I caught some slack because I said you were the best player on the Kings team this year, which objectively you were. And I feel like I want to clarify this. Like, De'Aaron Fox is a great basketball player. Sabonis, obviously, been to all-star games. He's also a great basketball player. I don't know the impetus or the strategy that the Kings front office has, so I'm not going to speak to that. But were you surprised at all by sort of the universal reaction around the league when this trade happened?
Yeah, to say the least. I definitely thought people were going to be like, the Kings won the trade. They got an all-star. Kings are up, and the Kings won. Like the Kings finally won something. Because let's just face it. Like the NBA Twitter and just like the NBA basketball fans, like the Kings are at the bottom of the totem pole. You know what I'm saying? Like media coverage, all that stuff. Like it's just like people. Everybody wants to talk crazy about the Kings, right? And that's how I always felt when I was there. So when I got traded, I thought for sure they were going to get – it was like, okay, Kings probably got a W, but it was the complete opposite. Everybody's running at him again. I didn't go on ESPN. I didn't look at anything when I got traded. I really wasn't on social. I stayed off social media for the day. But then somebody calls like, "Oh, did you see JJ on ESPN?" I'm like, "No, I didn't see." Like, man, he went in. Like everybody's going in. I'm like, wow. I was like, I did not expect. I did not expect that. So it definitely was a surprise. But I guess I've shown a little bit in my NBA career that people think I'll be a successful player moving forward.
Well, one thing people said, we talked about this. We did a show after the deadline. I think Woj said this, but I think a few people said it was basically like all of these other fans from different teams were pissed. Because basically, like all these teams, if they'd known they could have traded for you, they were like, this just came out of nowhere for everybody. Like this was not a thing that was in the discussion for anybody. The thing I was going to ask you, which I don't think we've talked about, is so if you're off Twitter, you're off ESPN, you're off social media, whatever. After like the initial shock of the first hour wears off, and you're just like hanging around the house, like what are you watching TV? Like what are you doing? What are you actually doing in this particular case? Because JJ has his own stories about being traded, but it's a weird experience where all of a sudden you're moving, like you're in a different, you're about to get on a plane and go somewhere, and you need to like figure that out, even though you also want to block everything out.
Yeah, so I'm getting told that we're leaving at 9 a.m. the next day. So I'm looking at my room like, damn, like I hate packing. Like I gotta pack. I gotta get all this stuff out of here and get it to Indy. But from there, it was like just people were just showing up in my house. You know what I'm saying? My mom moved to Sacramento this season, a rental property, thank God. She moved to Sac this season, so she's just showing up. My boys are showing up, like equipment managers and assistant trainers and video. They're just showing up because I think it was a shock to everybody. I don't think I knew it was a shock to everybody. Nobody saw it coming, and nobody had any idea. Like I'm getting calls from coaches and people in the organization, like they had no idea. So I think it was a complete shock to everybody. So from there, it was just like phone calls and like I got traded. I was next to my girl, and I probably didn't talk to her again for like 2 hours after like the next hour of the trade, because I'm literally on the phone the whole time with people. You know what I'm saying? Like 2-3 hours of us not even communicating after this. You know what I'm saying? So just sitting there and talking to people about how crazy it is.
Yeah, I assume you had to not only touch base with your agent, the Kings brass, now that your new team, the Pacers brass, Rick Carlisle, I'm sure called you. Have you actually moved out of your apartment yet in Sac?
Yeah, so that's what I spent All-Star Weekend doing. I got to go to 2 amazing places in Cleveland and Sacramento. So, I was originally supposed to go to Miami, just kick my feet up for the break, and I had to go back to Sac and pack the house up. So yeah, that's what I just got back from doing.
I want to sort of clarify one thing, because I want it to come from you. But one of the things that I said when I went on was that you were a guy that wanted to be a part of the rebuild in Sacramento. You wanted to be one of the guys that helped make that place great again and get them back to the playoffs and bring them back to a place of significance. And I know you've said it before publicly, but can you just basically confirm your feelings prior to all of this, that you were all in on Sacramento?
Yeah, like I touched on it in my Players Tribune piece as well. Like, I truly feel like if you took a poll, not just the locker room, take a poll, the whole organization, go grab fans if you want, go grab anybody who watches Kings basketball, say who's the one guy that wants to be there. It'll be like Tyrese Haliburton. You know what I'm saying? Like if there was one person who wanted to be there, it was for sure me. They drafted me, took a chance on me, and there's that story. People, the media, and people make this up, which that I forced my way to Sacramento. Like that is not the truth at all. The truth is, if I told 1 or 2 teams not to draft me, it was Atlanta and it was Cleveland. Okay, I told Atlanta don't pick me because they have this guard heavy room, right? And I told Cleveland not to pick me. Just pick 2 back-to-back point guards. Don't pick me as well. From there, it was open season for everybody, and they didn't pick me. So the narrative that I forced my way to Sacramento is not true at all. And I feel like people have tried to run with that, and especially recently now that I've gotten traded. But I really enjoyed it there. I just tried to make the most of it because I feel like every it's the situations is what you make it, and It's funny that I said I didn't want to go to Atlanta because it's like a, kind of guard heavy. And then I go to Sacramento with De'Aaron and Buddy. And you know what I'm saying? There's good guards there as well. But I was like, just make the most of it. Just play basketball. So, I really enjoyed my time there. And I was excited for the future. But, I'm excited here in Indy as well.
This is sort of the point I was getting across that day of the deadline on ESPN. And as well, we touched on it on our trade deadline reaction. But there are certain challenges when you are a small market team. And we all know that guys want to be in Miami, guys want to be in LA, guys want to be in New York. That's just the reality. That's just how the league operates and has operated for over a decade. And so when you draft a young player with clearly all-star potential, and he wants to be there, and I'm not just gassing you up, but you are a guy that you can, as we've seen, can just go play basketball on any team. Your skill set is so malleable that you can do that. You can play on the ball, you can play off the ball. You have the size to eventually become a great defender. But I think that was the reaction around the league. That was the shock, is that you're a small market team who has a guy with incredible upside. And that's not to say that Sabonis can't get better, that De'Aaron doesn't have upside, but who wants to be there, who's in on this rebuild. And that to me was the shock.
Yeah, exactly. And I think when you're talking about small markets, you got to draft well to be a successful small market team. You just have to. If as a small market, free agents don't really want to go there. You think free agents want to go to Sacramento? Not because of the city itself, but you think people want to go pay California taxes to live in Sacramento when they could go pay California taxes to live in LA? You know what I'm saying? It's hard, and they I felt like they've hit on. It's been Sacramento hasn't hit on their draft picks in the last 15 years. You know what I'm saying? Tyreek won a Rookie of the Year. De'Aaron's been really good. I feel like I'm a successful pick. Davion, I feel like, is a successful pick as well. So I felt like we were building something. But as a guard room, we knew somebody was going to have to go eventually. So it's kind of just ripping the Band-Aid off. You know what I'm saying? They just got rid of one of us. So, it is what it is.
Do you feel, and JJ, I'm curious, when your first version of this, you had it up till your last year in New Orleans, we're when you get the feeling this is a business, you know what I mean? No matter what, no matter how people treat you, no matter what they say to your face, whatever it is, this is a business. And you can only take, everything anybody says in this business with a grain of salt, because they'll say one thing to you and they'll turn around tomorrow and do the opposite. Do you think this was your first experience of that? Okay, now I know going forward, no matter what happens in my career, it's almost like you can't fool me twice at this point?
Oh, for sure. No question. That's the thing, is just kind of having to know that side, just being a naive second year, 21-year-old, you know what I'm saying? It's I'm good. I don't have to worry about anything. The reality is it's a business, and anything can happen. I think last year, Corey Joseph, who was my vet, we got done with the game. I'm in media and Rico's waiting outside the locker room. He never does that. He's like, "Hey, Corey got traded." I'm like, "The game just got done 2 minutes ago. What do you mean he got traded?" You know what I'm saying? So that was my first taste of the business, but not to say that I felt like I was above that, but it was I don't have to worry about that. That's how I felt, truthfully, as a rookie. You know what I'm saying? So now coming here, it's definitely opened my eyes, and even in the conversations with the GM and the president here, just having some conversations, and them being you're gonna be here a while. We're really excited to build around you. I look at mine, I'm like, yo, I've heard that before. You know what I'm saying? I agree. I hope that's true. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking forward to it, but I've heard it before. So I partially believe you, but there's a part of me that's calm down. You know what I'm saying?
My last year in Orlando, my 7th year there, we were talking as we were leading up to the deadline, and there was those discussions. We want you to retire here. Then I got traded to Milwaukee, and same thing. We want you here a long time. We want you to play your career out here. Go to LA. Same thing. We want you to retire a Clipper. Go to Philly. Same thing. I want you to then Griff would say that to me too when I was in New Orleans. I'm just like, yeah, no, I appreciate the sentiment, bro. I really do. Every time, whether it was Lawrence Frank or Doc or the owner at the time of the Bucks, I'm just I appreciate it, but I've heard this before. I'm realistic. This league moves like this, and that's, I learned it early, and obviously you learned it way earlier than me. I do want to touch on just your time in Indy so far, how the experience has been, and your success really, on the court. You're averaging 20 and 11, 45% from three. To me, I'm not surprised at this, given the stretch that you had earlier in the season, when De'Aaron was out for a while. Not the most recent injury, but the one earlier. So how has it been?
It's definitely been an adjustment. Just learning guys learning me, just learning terminology. I think that's the hardest part is like me and Buddy, like he'll call play and he'll call and me and Buddy will be like, oh yeah, we call it that in Sac. Just run that. You know what I mean? We know, you know what I mean? Like, so it's been, just different learning stuff, but at the end of the day, it's just going out there and playing basketball. And I think guys are learning who I am as a player. I jump to pass a lot. So guys know if they just become visible to me, I'll usually I'll make that pass more times than not. So it's just the relationship building and things like that. But it's been cool. Like my family's been out here the whole time. So they've helped make the adjustment easier. And then coming out here with Buddy and Tristan, I think that helped as well. Obviously Tristan's gone now, but just coming out here with some guys who I have a relationship with, definitely helped. Tristan joked with me that him coming here was like big brother dropping his little brother off at school. So that's definitely helped ease the transition.
Tristan's IG tribute to Indy was hilarious.
My favorite part is he didn't have a tribute to Sac, but he had a tribute to Indy.
He's there for like 72 hours. It was like a full page. Like
he flew in town to get a buyout and then did a tribute. I love it. Your experience this past weekend at All-Star Break, I know I mentioned it. You won the Clorox Clutch Challenge Championship along with our guy Desmond Bain, who was just on the pod. You got to play in the Rising Stars game. But just, and you've done it before, but just like being around All-Star Weekend and being around the hype, I assume you're envisioning going back someday very, very soon as an All-Star.
Yeah, to say the least. Being there, kind of getting a taste of that environment and what it's like for that weekend. Obviously, it was in Cleveland, so it was freezing outside. Nobody wanted to go outside, but it's definitely something that I hope to be a part of in the very near future. And just it's a lot of fun. When you get around other NBA guys, just having conversation. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's about the season or what off the court, like whatever. Just being around guys like. Being in the locker room with Ant and Sadiq and Isaiah Stewart and Desmond Bain and Jaden Hardy, who's about to be a top 10 pick this year. Like just being with those guys, just sharing stories about what's going on in their in their world and their cities and learning more about them. That's a lot of fun. Just sharing stories and things like that. You guys can only imagine being around Anthony Edwards is a hell of a time. You know what I'm saying? So it was definitely a lot of fun.
We've had you on for a few mailbag episodes. We don't have any mailbag episodes, but I have a general question posed to everyone. Tommy, I know you've been to All-Star Weekend. Tyrese has been. I've been. How do we feel in general about just having a 4 or 5 city rotation of warm weather places?
That's what we were talking about. We were talking about that. I think LA has to be a staple. Like they haven't done one in Miami since the 80s, right?
I'm going to tell you why you're wrong about LA, but keep going.
How?
LA should never have it.
How?
LA should never have it because, well, 2 reasons.
Because the parties are too hard to get to because of traffic. Literally, that's Tommy's take.
The
parties are too hard to get to. The
congestion, they put the parties in the hills in these crazy places that nobody can get to or anything like that.
Where do you want it? What cities do you want?
I actually think that they should put it in small markets in warm places. I thought the one they did in Charlotte was amazing. Not that Charlotte's like the warmest place in the world, but I think that they should do it in places. Phoenix should have it. I think the Texas cities should have it. I think it was great in New Orleans. Miami, I feel like should not because of the craziness. Like they just don't. It's just too much trouble. It's like putting it in Vegas. I don't think it's
Vegas can't happen.
I don't think it's unreasonable to say that they should not have it in
But can we agree that it should happen in Cleveland? We can agree on that.
It should not happen in Cleveland.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
By the way, it's happening in your home.
It's
city
happening in India in 2 years.
So-
Yes.
so
Yes.
we're excited for that one.
I'm with it. Yeah, I'm with that for sure.
Orlando would be a good one. Atlanta would be a good one. New Orleans, of course, you guys mentioned. But yeah, I mean, just stay in sort of maybe southern United States in the middle of February.
Can I throw a crazy idea out there, which is probably completely unrealistic? What if they did it in like Mexico City?
I knew he was about to say that.
You know what I mean? They did
it
it like you did it, or did it in like Cabo or something. Like you do it in a place where like everyone. No, think about like
where are you gonna have the game in Cabo?
You just find a gym. Just find like who cares?
Turks and
Find one
Caicos.
gym.
Tommy wants it to be in Turks and Caicos. You
I
need
like
the
the
infrastructure.
Tommy, I like the
and
vision.
the hotel rooms.
Am I wrong? I will say this, and we have two NBA players on the chat. I'm the non-NBA player. I will say the one constant that every player says about going to All-Star Weekend, besides the stuff that the positive stuff Tyrese was saying, is how annoying it is with having to like, you're overwhelmed with all these asks and every brand is there and every this is there. And all of a sudden you're just like, you don't even, so like if you put it in another country, it kind of filters out it weeds out some of the problems. And you basically just get to be like, oh, I get to be around these other players and I get to be around these guys in the league that I like to see. And my family is there. And like, if Tyrese is an all-star, he's like, well, I don't get to go to Mexico. I got to go to Cleveland for 4 days. Well, you get to you're in Mexico. You just have to go play basketball.
I see the vision. I see the
vision. You're coming at this very much from the sense of how enjoyable it would be for the all-stars. But keep in mind, these cities rely on, this is a huge deal for a city to host a thing. It's a huge deal for fans, local economy, etc. I'm being harsh. But
I was going to say this. Yeah.
No, we should absolutely have a chance to give it to every city. Let every fan base be the host city. I thought it was amazing when watching the skills competition on Saturday night and seeing the reaction that the Cavs guys were getting in the skills competition. I thought that was awesome. Like there's a sense of pride for that host city that they had 2 all-stars, up-and-coming team. I thought it was great, man. I'm going to Salt Lake City next year. I'm going to go skiing and just
he's really into skiing now.
Yeah, I'm going to go skiing in Deer Valley, and I'm going to just pop in and out, and I'll do some stuff.
Maybe I was being a little bit of a diva. I agree. I feel like it should be everywhere. I was just annoyed that like, okay, my only thing is if you're going to do it in a cold place, right? They need to like import Uber drivers. Like we need more Ubers in Cleveland. Cleveland's not prepared for all the Uber requests. You know what I'm saying? That's fair?
That's fair. Or give every guy participating their own driver for the weekend. Boom.
Something like that.
Solved.
Yeah. Problem solved.
That seems like an obvious thing. I don't know why they don't do that.
I think it's going to be in Milwaukee in the next few years. I think it's going to go to Milwaukee. And like, that's the crib for me. So like, I'm with it, but I know guys are not going to be happy about that. So like, I'm just thinking of ways that we can, make it good for
I just think they need to be more out. Well, there's 2 things. First of all, I don't think every city should have it. I don't think LA should have it. I also don't think New York really needs it. People in New York don't even appreciate it. They had it in New York a couple years ago and no one even cared. New York doesn't like give a fuck. So like, don't put it in cities where they don't care. So I don't think New York needs it either.
I'm not telling you.
New York doesn't care about basketball. What?
They didn't. They just don't care.
What gummy did Tommy take today?
No, New York cares about basketball. They just
I did All-Star Weekend in New York. People cared.
All-Star
Weekend
in New York was a bust.
Awesome. The following year in Toronto, I love Toronto. Top 5 city to me.
I think it's way better in smaller places where it's like this is a big deal for the city. I was gonna say though, in Indy, they should think outside the box a little bit and maybe like put the game in like the Hoosiers gym or something. Like do something that's not like
Tommy, like I'm expecting you to say like that I was expecting you to say out of the box like you weren't a fan of the dunk contest or something like that. You're talking about the Hoosiers gym.
I'm just saying like add a little flair for the dramatic for some of the stuff. Don't just like pull up to the arena and just do everything there.
Tyrese, did you go to the dunk contest?
I didn't, but I had dinner with Obi on Thursday, so he told me what the plans were.
You made a very wise choice.
My thing is though, what can there's got to be a limit to what. First of all, we need to go back to just do a time limit instead of a dunk limit.
Yeah,
right. It just went a little too long, right? But like, it bothers me so much. I love Ja. I love Ja as a player and a person. Ja's catching 360 alley-oops in the All-Star game, and they're like, we need that in the dunk contest. In the dunk contest, those are all sixes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like Obi is doing one step between leg reverses. And like it takes all the stuff guys were doing, like Jalen, he tried the hard one, but like he still windmill off the side of the backboard. Like that's hard to like. That is really hard.
Do you think video games have ruined it for fans? But I think you can do anything.
I think it's just a product of like we were spoiled with Zach and Aaron and guys who've done it so well and didn't miss a dunk like that we expect so much, but like it's hard.
Some of it too is we've sort of reached the limitations of human potential. Like,
okay, we're on the same page.
No, it's like a 720 windmill between the legs. Is that what we need to see? Like, I don't know that that's actually possible. I don't know that there's a dunk that we haven't seen.
That's what I'm saying. We want NBA Live 2005 dunk contest.
I like this idea. I like this. I'm a fan of this idea. You want to keep it to 4, fine. You get 3 NBA guys
and a pro dunker.
Bring in a pro dunker.
I actually am not.
I would love that.
Do you think the NBA guys would be cool with that though? If this guy just throws them up,
I don't know. I'm not opposed to it, but people think Brown was supposed to do it when he like Ja's not going to do the dunk contest. Like guys are not trying to do the dunk contest. Like
it's a lot of pressure. It's a big stress. Yeah.
Here's another thought I had. Somebody on Twitter hit me up. I thought about this. I think it's a possibility if you incentivized it. But what about a one-on-one tournament?
Okay, I've heard this before, and I actually am not opposed to this idea. I like the idea. Because what you're gonna do is you're gonna get like reserved, like guys who don't start are probably gonna be the majority of it, but it can still be a lot of fun. You know what I'm saying? Like
who's your top 5 in a one-on-one tournament right now in the league?
What a question.
I know.
I mean, there's a lot of guys. There's a
lot of guys. I'd have to really think on that. I'm definitely putting Kyrie. I want to see Kyrie in a one-on-one competition. I want to see Tatum in a one-on-one competition. I want to see D Book in a one-on-one competition. Like guys like that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but those guys aren't doing it. Those guys aren't going to do it. Like we're still going to, even if it's guys off the bench, it's still going to be amazing. Like I'm telling you, let's just say a couple of years ago, like if we had like Lou Will, Terrence Ross, like guys who are just like trained to score, you know
Jamal
what I'm saying?
Crawford,
like Jamal, like, oh, that would be, because it's not like it's not like Kyrie, Jason Tatum. You're not getting like the top guys in the league, but that's still amazing one-on-one. Oh,
I love that.
Tyrese, I have a question before we go. What did you think about the other trades?
As a basketball fan, I love the deadline was a lot of fun. I like the deadline outside of myself getting traded. It was a lot of, it was a lot of fun. I think Philly and Brooklyn both benefited from it. I think it puts both of them in a good situation. I think Brooklyn's going to be a big problem in the East, but like James and Embiid, if like they're both on, like that's a lot. And the Bucks are still like the East is going to be a lot of fun. I like that deadline. I thought it was good.
Yeah, the East is a really, really good point of discussion that we can have at a later time as we get closer, because the playoff seeding in the East is going to be fascinating to me because, as we know, playoffs matchups matter so much, and there's so many good teams. The East playoffs are going to be amazing. Tyrese, man, we appreciate the time as always. Good to catch up with you.
All right, bro. See you in Indy.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.